Hey everyone, welcome back to CyberSecurityTV. Oftentimes, when we are doing the pen testing, we have to use different tools to make sure our testing are effective. And maybe one tool, if finding something, for example, let's say SQL injection, we want to confirm with the second tool if there is an SQL injection or not before reporting to your clients, to your internal people, to the dev team, whoever it is. So today's topic is we are going to discuss the Nikto and the Metasploit. So these are like a web application security scanner, just like we have seen like a few in the past as well. And there are also a lot of commercial tools out there who does the security scanning. So Nikto and Metasploits are open source tools, so you can pretty much use without having to pay anything. Just make sure you have the consent from the application owner before you run these tools, because these are quite intrusive. So if they are running an IDS, IPS, or WAF, or any other perimeter devices firewall, then there is a high likelihood that your requests are being going to be blocked, or your IPs will be blocked due to number of requests this tool sends per second. So usually it's a highly recommended that you let your client know that you're going to run the tool from this IP address, so they can whitelist the IP, and it goes smoothly. You get the effective results. Most of the thing that I have noticed nowadays, if you're using like cloud, AWS or something, then you don't really need to whitelist the IP, because they don't really block uh, your IPs or request. And I think they changed the policy a few months ago. Now, Nikto is written in the Perl, so it's very mobile. It works on Windows, Mac OS, and also Linux. It comes with a Kali Linux, so if you have a Kali Linux VM, you don't need to install it. It's available by default. You just need to run it. One other thing, it does not have any GUI, so GUI interface, user interface. So all the results that came out of it will be displayed onto the command line. There's an advantage as well with this one. So you can, if it's hosted on one of the remote system, you can SSH into the box and run the scan, or your team member can do that. You can also write a script with all the targets that you want to scan. You can also define the schedule like a bash program, and then Nikto will pick up the targets and run the scan and send you the email with the results or something. So you can fully automate it. Of course, it requires some scripting knowledge, but it's possible. The another thing is it's very quick, and when I say quick, you can get the results fairly quickly compared to other scanners. So if you have seen like a few professional scanners, it takes like, I don't know, maybe an hour, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to complete the scan, or at least give you some results. While in this one, you get like a high level of details in like a few minutes. So that's how it's really quick. WMAP, this is the another tool which is derived from SQL map. We'll talk about SQL map in the later videos, but WMAP is mostly for the web app vulnerability scanners. Again, this is open source, come with the Metasploit in Kali Linux, so if you have a Kali, you can run it. WMAP is a little bit different than Nikto. So in here you can the advantage here is if WMAP finds some things, right, and if it finds the vulnerability, and if you know the exploits are available, then, and if Metasploit has it, then you can, because you're within the Metasploit, you can run the exploit right away without waiting on anyone or something. So that's how important it is. All right, so without wasting much time, let's jump onto our Kali box to see the demo of both of these tools. All right, so this is our MSF console. We'll come to it later on. We'll first start with Nikto. So in Nikto, if you want to see all the options, you type -H. And as you can see, the only required thing we need to provide is possibly the host or the target that we want to scan. So how we're going to do is -H, which is host. Of course, you can also type the entire host and then type the URL, Now I'm using demo.testfire.net. This is an intentional vulnerable site, so you can scan it without any permissions. This is meant to be for learning. So that's why I'm using this site. This is, I think, developed by IBM, I think. And then you also define the port number where the site is running. You hit enter, then Nikto will start scanning, and as you can see, it has already started giving you some vulnerabilities and some information. So here you can also see like what Apache version it's using, and then some header information. So this you can easily figure it out by sending request response using burp or any of the proxy as well, or by just observing the traffic. So I'll let Nikto run like for a few minutes, so we can actually see the results and what it can find. Meanwhile, let's jump onto our MSF console or Metasploit and load the WMAP. Now, one thing, if you want to load the WMAP, just make sure you have the database connected, otherwise it's not gonna work. So I'm right now connected with the PostgreSQL. Um, then if you want to see the available options, so you have modules to see all the modules available. Modules are essentially the checkers, what vulnerability you want to test. So for example, if you want to test the SQL injection, there's a module for it within the WMAP, so you can just use it, enable it, and use that module to scan the site. Then the run, to actually run the sites. Nodes you are not going to use very often. We are not going to talk about that in this particular video. Sites are the targets, like you want to add for your scanning or for the performing the vulnerability assessment. And then vulnerabilities will let me just show you. I think that will be easier too. So here you can, it will list all the previously found vulnerabilities. So like any vulnerabilities that you found, you can see the details here. Now how it works is, so first what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the sites, and we'll see if we have any sites available. Yes, so we do have it. So this is the one site which I've added, like a demo to test fire. So but let me, for simplicity, let me just re-add it so you guys can see how it works. 0, okay, perfect. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, let's assume we do not have anything in this table and we want to scan our demo.testfire.net. So how you do it, you add it with the -a, and then write the URL of the site. It says site created. Then to see if it has been added, you can see it here. So what it usually does is it's kind of stored with the IP address rather than the host name. That's the only difference. The next thing we want to see is the targets. So here you can again, it's pretty much the same thing. You can add the target for our testing. So generally, first of all, to see we don't have anything in the target site for WMAP to scan. So what we'll do is we'll add it, we'll add the target in our scan by providing the ID. So here you can see I have used the -d. You can also use the T option to give the actual URL, but D will just need to give the ID of the from this table. Now if we see here targets -l, you'll be able to see all the uh, targets. You can also add multiple targets for WMAP to scan, which is kind of cool if you have more than one site to scan and you just don't want to sit around and add one after another. You can totally do that. Next thing, let's go to the modules. Yes, this is quite a important one. So as I said, the modules will give you all the available checkers, what vulnerabilities WMAP can scan, and all those things. You can see it here. It's gonna take a little while to load all the modules because there are quite a few. So meanwhile, let's jump on to our Nikto and see how it's progressed. All right, so wow. So as I said, Nikto is very quick, so it can find the vulnerabilities fairly quickly. although it hasn't finished, but you have got information to get started if you are looking to kind of provide a quick report or quick scan to your client or to your developer. Then this is a great tool for you. So as you can see, like first few were like the headers, missing headers, and configuration related issues. But then if you scroll down, it can also tell you what are the vulnerabilities, like cross-site scripting. It gives you enough information like which page, which parameter that they exist, and also the payload that it has tried. So and one other thing I like a lot about Nikto is it also gives you the OSVDB. So if you have to provide reference, or if you want to look on the internet the available exploits, then you can easily use the OSVDB for that purpose as well. Of course, it has found several things. Some of this might be a false positive, but a lot of this looks like valid vulnerabilities. You may have to manually check this, but again, I still believe this is a great tool for finding some low-hanging fruits and some easy to find vulnerabilities in a really quick time. So while it is still running and it's gonna take a while to finish it up, although we have quite a lot information to start work with. Alright, so with our Metasploit or WMAP, the modules have already been added or loaded. So there are 39 modules, and as you can see, there are server related modules, then there are directory, then file, then unique query, blind SQL injection, all those things. So here you can see all the modules which are enabled. Now if you want to run the scan, we are going to use this, and there are three options. So if you want to run a specific module, so for example, if Nikto gave you there's SQL injection vulnerability, but you want to confirm that, you may run using WMAP by -m and just provide the module name. -p will only test the part defined by the regex, and E you can give the profile, and if you do not provide any profile, it's gonna run with all the enable modules, which we are going to do. So I'm gonna do -E and let it run. So yeah, it says testing started. This is SSL modules disabled. So because there is no SSL certificate, disable all the module to save some time. Alright, it has also it will also start giving you the information as it finds. So here it says it's using Apache Coyote 1.1, and this is a good example of why you might want to run different tools. So here we can confirm the Apache version, and likewise the need to also confirm the version of the Apache that's running, right? So that's why both of these tools are quite useful, and they are quite unique. Of course, it's gonna take a while, and it's always good to have multiple tools in your pocket, because sometimes you may need to run for different purposes. Each tool has their own advantages and disadvantages, so depending on the situation you may want to run one tool over the other, and once you get enough experience, you will be able to kind of figure it out which tool is good for you or for the site, or based on the programming languages posted on the web server that's running. So that all I'll it will come by experience, but yeah, I want to give you guys introduction on these tools and how it works. So next week we'll also try to learn one other tool, and then we'll do a deep dive into the penetration testing. That's all I want to talk about in this video. Hit the like button if you enjoy watching this video, and subscribe to my channel for more videos, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.